This guy runs a $1 million a month D2C brand and just leaked his entire creative team structure. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the exact roles he's using, what a team like this costs, and the exact structure you need in 2026 to scale past 8 figures. Because with the systems and tools we have right now, you can replace 5 of those with one single hybrid role that is gonna be the biggest competitive advantage in ecom 2026. And most founders have never even heard about it. So let's get into it. All right, first of all, shout out to D2C Midas. He's a legend on the D2C Twitter space. And he's running $1 million a month, even €1 million a month ecom brand. And in this video, I just want to mainly focus about the creative aspect and break down the exact roles he's using, how much you pay for them, and what a realistic output can look like. So if we assume for the head of creative, which is overseeing everything, essentially like the kind of like the creative director, you can easily pay up to 5 figures a month. So whether that's 10, 15, even 20K. But to be conservative, let's just say 10K a month for the head of creative that he's paying. Then the freelance creative strategist. I myself work as a strategist for months with multiple 8-figure brands, and they spend up to partly 2 million a month on ads. And usually around the space is like 4 to 6 is a good base pay that you get, but with performance bonus and everything, you can easily be up to 10K a month too for a single strategist. But let's just assume 5K per strategist for our calculation here. And the next is the videographer, mainly for product shoots, videos, and so on. I think quite a fair rate would be to assume 3K here. And then obviously a bunch of editors and designers. And what most brands do, at least those that I work with at top levels, is to hire from the Philippines, which definitely makes sense because it's a third world country. You got to pay a lot less, and Filipinos are one of the hardest working guys basically out there. And you got to keep in mind, like if you pay them even 1.5K per editor, that is essentially life-changing money in the Philippines. So you can do good for those people. They'll be hardworking because they want to stay at your team. And the same is basically for designers. A lot of good guys in the Philippines too, and also South America. Also a good, really good place to hire from. So if we look at this, we have in total 13 people that he is paying for his monthly creative team. And if we calculate all of this, we come to around 40K a month in creative team expenses. Now, you got to keep in mind those 40K don't include any UGC creators, any software tools, or nothing of that. That's just the headcount for the creative team. And now for most of you watching who are on the way to the 1 million a month mark with the ecom brand, you can't just drop like 40K a month just on your creative team for the headcount. And if we're being honest how the game is heading in 2026, you don't even have to, because the tools have changed in 2026. We got stuff like Sora 2, VO3, Nano Banana that create AI images and videos at such a level that you can't even notice the difference between real content anymore. And I guess a lot of you guys have seen tools like Make UGC or Arcades. And those are essentially that use all of the VO3 Sora 2 to create those AI ads. And even though it's in Germany, I guess you're very familiar with those tools. If you're at least a bit on Twitter, you see all of them, everything flooded there. And if we're being realistic, they're getting better and better day by day. Now, what that really means is that number one, your production costs are just going to go down. Because if you can make AI UGC videos for 10, 20 bucks per video, instead of paying a creator hundreds of bucks, waiting for them to record everything, then send the footage back, and so on. You have way more control with tools like Arcades, for example. You can even literally select the emotion that you want the creator to embody. And it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. And second, the team, obviously. Like, what do you need a bunch of graphic designers for, or copywriters, when you have AI that can literally make the script as well as the ads essentially finished and ready to publish? Just to show you some examples that I found on Twitter, shout out to the guy too, of Nano Banana for his product. And all of those are purely AI generated. And if we look at the statics, there's not much difference to a real graphic designer, if we're being honest here. Like, you can easily post them and just run them, and they'll probably crush with the performance. Like, you see all those different styles. And even on like Amazon pages and that kind of stuff on your product pages, you can use those too. Like, so what do you need graphic designers anymore? And he didn't even mention copywriters on his team. Like, just have a look. a bunch of strategists. They're probably responsible for writing the scripts too, but I guess they're just using a bunch of AI, get the first drafts done, and then just polish them. Like, they don't even have copywriters anymore. So if we're looking at this, then the main question becomes, what is going to be important in 2026? What do we actually need? And with the whole pattern that we have of AI taking up more and more of the execution, more and more of the designers, of the copywriters, and so on, the strategic thinking part is just gonna become even more important than it is. So the creative strategist role is gonna be the number one most important role in 2026, and the strategy part is just going to become more and more important. And that's why something that I call the hybrid creative strategist is going to become the most important role in 2026. Because if you look at the role of the traditional creative strategist and all the tasks they have, then it's literally broken by design. And let me show you what I mean. Because I just listed all of the tasks that the strategist has to do day by day. That's what I've been doing for multi 7 and 8 figure brands day in, day out. And if we look at all of those tasks, competitor research, map out concepts, write briefs, and so on, obviously all of them are important. But the main thing that I want to come to now, is this something that the creative strategist should do? Or is that more of an operation or admin task? Because if we look at it, competitor research, is it important? 100%. You can't do anything without competitor research. But should the strategist be scrolling through Reddit threads and some customer reviews just to find one or two useful out of 20 or 30? In my opinion, no, because all they need is the result of the competitor research. It's not about that they have to manually dig through everything, but they just need the result of it compiled. And the same goes for gathering research. So the ads, for example, competitor ads. Do they have to manually scroll through the ad library, find 50 shitty ads just to get one that is actually useful that they can steal? Well, no, not necessarily. Again, they do need competitor ads and competitor research, but they don't have to do it themselves. And if that might be a bit confusing right now, I'll show you in a second exactly what I mean. And if you're wondering, okay, who else can this do except for the strategist? That's what I'm gonna show you in a second. Then map out concepts and variations. Yes, this is exactly what your strategist should do. That's what you're paying them 5, 6, 7K a month for, to actually have the ideation and decide, okay, this is important. This is what we're gonna test, what is gonna become our next winning ad. And for writing scripts and briefs, obviously the strategist got to make sure the scripts and everything align with the concept vision that they have. But we see it even with traditional junior copywriters and now more with AI, because I truly believe if you train AI on your brand, on everything, and know how to use it, it's just easily as good as a junior copywriter. So I think the strategist should not write everything from scratch, but obviously they have to polish it and make sure everything is aligned to their vision. Now the next thing, manage editors, designers, media buyers, copywriters, and sometimes even source UGC creators. Again, it's something that has to be done, but it's not what the strategist should do. They're not your manager. What I mean by that is, yes, he should make sure and give feedback to the video editors, but he should not be sitting in Slack answering some random questions or making sure that every one of them does their task. That's not what a strategist should do. It's more of a management task. And if we're actually looking for what the strategist should do, it comes down to map out the concept and variations and analyze performance, because we got to make sure, okay, how do we find winning ads? Well, we look at what has been working in the past. And to come to the other QA assets, make sure everything before launch is ready to go. Again, it's just a quality control thing, more of like an admin operational task, and organize and track everything, not their task again. And that's what I think, in my opinion, is one of the most time-wasting tasks. If they put everything manually on Google Sheets or export the ad library data on Google Sheets, that's just not what they should do. That's something you can automate or outsource. And if we look at all those 8 tasks together, we have 2 out of 8 tasks that is actually the highest leverage for the strategist on what they are the best at and what they should do, which equates to 25% of their time. And if they're just doing 25% of every day what they are the best at and what you should use them for. And this is why I say the role of the traditional creative strategist is broken, because they just have so much admin and operational work that is not aligned to their top 25%, what they should do, what they're the best at. And that's why I think the role of the hybrid creative strategist is going to become the most important one in 2026. And that only works if you actually have the creative infrastructure to support it. And what exactly I mean by that is the creative strategist, those 2 things, maps out the concept and analyzes the performance, and hybrid in terms of all those other things get taken away from their plate so they can actually just focus on them and have everything else, the research, the competitor ads, everything served on a silver plate, basically, to them. And that only works if you have the creative infrastructure set up, so the operations, to do all those things for the strategist so he can use it. And I want to show you exactly how I built that, so the hybrid strategist can focus all of their time on the tasks that actually produce the winners. Because I built 4 different end-to-end workflows that take away different parts here from the strategist tasks. And I want to show you exactly how every single one of them works. So if we start with competitor research, so going through competitor ads, we have this Facebook ad spy tool that automatically scrapes your competitors' ads and puts them on this creative master sheet that I can break down in a second. And if we look at the competitor ads raw data, where it puts in everything from when did the ad start running, what is the format, it puts the ad copy on here, it puts the video URL, so you can directly go to the video. If it's a static ad, it puts the image here, transcript of the video, and it also maps out and analyzes everything. So for example, the hook, what is the main concept, what are the pain points, what are the winning elements that make this a really good ad. And if you've seen the low impression count thing on Meta, let me show you in a second. Like this thing here, when it says low impression count and under 100 impressions, it filters those out too, because a lot of brands, what they've been doing in the past is try to hide their ads, so for others to make it harder to copy their winners. They just put very little budget for shitty ads and let them run for a while, because most brands just filter how long has this ad been running, and the longer it runs, the better it performs. And that doesn't work anymore now. So it puts all of this raw data on here, and then it also has a dashboard here that essentially puts all of this raw data into overview and analysis. So what are the longest running ads for your competitors? What did they recently launch? What are the top performers? What is the most common format and the most common concept? And gives you a lot of insights about what your competitors are running. And this is exactly what I mean by delivering everything on a silver plate. The strategist has access to the overview, the dashboard of everything, knows what the competitors are doing, and if they want to scrape something specific, they just go here and copy, go to the video, and they can analyze it themselves then, but they don't have to dig through the ad library. And the same thing if we come back here for gathering research, for example. Review scraper, it goes through Trustpilot, Amazon, your testimonials, whatever, just puts everything again on the sheet here into the raw data and analyzes it again. So whether it's extracting the data from what is the rating, what did they even write, what was the product, until the analysis of what was the primary theme, what were their pain points, what was the exact wording that they use, how can we make use of this in ads or something. And we have a dashboard again, and everything laid out here for the strategist again, with most common themes, the overview, common objections, everything they can directly make use in for the ad. And if they want to use a direct testimonial, let's say, they just go on here, have the text, and can easily get the link to the review, and then they can easily use it for their ad. The next thing for ad performance analysis, so instead of having to go through the ad library, search out manually for every single ad, there's an automation and workflow that gets all the data, and we have 3 different ones here. One is the performance raw data of your overall account for the day, and what was the spend, number of clicks, CTR, hook rate, just your overall account data day by day, so you can easily recognize trends, how it's going. Then, which is the most important one for the strategist, is the creative performance analysis. So here we have every single concept, the spend, ROAS, CTR, hook rate, so the most important ones. And with that thing that is really cool is the statistics here to make it visually, the dashboards. So, okay, what's our current hit rate? What is the total revenue by our audience? What is the win rate by concept, and so on? Can easily add more on this and iterate and keep analyzing what is working on which concept and how we can make use of that for the next ones. And the last one, in terms of managing everyone and QA assets, there's delivery automation, which was the first one, because that was the biggest pain point I had myself when working with brands, of always putting everything on the creative sheet. So what this workflow does is, once the script is polished and the strategist make sure, okay, yeah, that's exactly what we want to produce, then they just put it into a Notion board, and that automatically triggers this automation, which directly puts it here on this sheet. And then we have the status, who is the editor or designer, what is the concept about, and we can track exactly down to, okay, we want to use this angle, this format, link to brief, link to asset, and they get notified in Slack. Then the strategist doesn't have to ping them all the time in Slack of, hey, it's ready for review. And when the editor always asks, okay, hey, how do you want this, how do you want that, it's directly everything on the concept already. So it puts down, okay, hey, what's the vision for that? Makes everything a lot easier also to drop the revision rounds from 3 to 4 down to 1 or 2 max, which lowers a lot of the QA asset and managing time. And obviously the organizing and tracking everything, which is done here by this sheet too. And in the beginning, I think this was the last one that I didn't show yet. You have just a dashboard of the entire account in terms of performance as well as creative status and pipeline, which makes everything a lot easier and more visible for the strategist and for you too. And if we look at the last 2 tasks here of map out concepts and variations and analyze performance, those you can't replace them with AI. That's what a strategist should do. But what you can do is you can support the strategist. And I want to show you exactly what I mean now. Because with our clients, we use the strategic coverage framework that essentially covers over 3,375 ads, and obviously including different iterations and variations of it, everything. I'll quickly break it down here. So you essentially have 3 key audiences. And for each of those audiences, you have 5 big ideas. So if you're selling skincare, for example, to women 50 plus who are tired every day, one of your big ideas could be to prevent wrinkles from even coming up. And then angle of this, for example, what celebrities use in the morning to prevent wrinkles from coming up. And then you have different formats for each of those angles, like UGC, AI voiceover plus B-roll, statics, and so on, and 3 hooks per format and 3 visuals per hook. I know this was very quick, and if you want, you can just pause it here, but I also made a separate video breaking down all of those automations, so the creative infrastructure, as well as the strategic coverage framework in detail, if you want to have a look and how this really works, and how we scale brands to over 10 million annual revenue with this exact creative infrastructure. And the second thing is for the writing and briefing part, where we have a custom AI trained on over 250 pages of your brand intel. You know what? Let me actually show you. So here we have all the project knowledge fed with the avatar, best marketing principles, marketing books, everything to make sure the copy is on point. And then a custom instruction prompt with past winning ads from your brand, operational protocol, so what it should output, and quality control, what it should not do, and everything to make sure that the ads are literally 80-90% done. So the strategist just has to polish them and can make sure they're ready to go. And this is what lets one hybrid strategist outcompete 4 to 5 usual creative strategists, because with the traditional role, when they just spend 25% of their time on actual tasks that you pay them for, then someone, a hybrid strategist who can spend close to 100% of their time on tasks, well, that's like 4 times the output. And again, if you want to have a look through the entire creative infrastructure, everything that I just broke down from the custom AI, from all those automations and the strategic coverage framework, I have a separate video on my channel that I'm going to link somewhere around here that I'd highly suggest you check out after if you want to see how you can implement it for your brand and scale past 8 figures. And after going so in depth now of the single components of the creative infrastructure, I just want to zoom out for a second and give you just my input on where I think the creative game and e-com general in 2026 is going to be heading. Because if there's one common pattern that we can see from all of this, is that the demand for strategists is just going to become more and more in 2026. And that's why I think more and more copywriters, for example, will transition to becoming strategists. Like that's how I did it early last year. Transition from the traditional copywriter to becoming a strategist, and we'll see more juniors just entering the market in general, whether they have a copywriting background or media buyer background or whatever. And what this does, I think, is just widen the gap between the 80-90% of those versus the top 10%, because the top 10% of strategists, they're working with multi 8 and 9-figure ecom brands, and they're easily getting paid 10, 20, sometimes even 30K a month for, because those brands, it's literally one of the most important roles. And you won't find a banger strategist who's not having a job right now, because either they got fired from their last 3 gigs or they're fresh out of some bootcamp if they don't have a gig right now. And the second thing that they could be doing is just start their own thing. So whether that's their own ecom brand, whether that's their own creative agency, own business, like I'm doing right now with creative operations. And I think that just means that it's going to be harder and harder for brands to hire a good strategist, especially since those 8 and 9 figure brands don't need just one. Like you saw the team structure in the beginning. he had one head of creative and 3 freelance creative strategists. Like if they hire 3 to 4 per brand, well, it's just gonna be hard to compete with those guys. And now for the last part, I want to be really clear and transparent with you, because this is only for ecom founders doing over 100K a month on meta ads. Because as I told you, I've been a strategist myself, worked with a bunch of brands spending from 30K a month up to 2 million a month on ads. And I got a bunch of friends who are killer creative strategists too, working with 8 and 9 figure brands that you probably usually don't get to if you don't have the connections in the game. And I got strategists that are trained on the entire infrastructure, all the operations, the framework, and can run everything for you, so you can pump out hundreds of ads a month to find 3 to 5 new winners, scale towards that 10 million annual revenue mark, and most importantly, remove yourself from creative operations too. Because I see most founders, they're literally playing the role of the creative director, approving every ad. And as the founder, you have to oversee everything. You have to pay attention to supply chains, marketing, obviously. You got to oversee everything and not be the creative director. So if you want me to install this entire creative infrastructure for you, plus provide one of my trained creative strategists on this entire system who can run it for you, then you can just DM me on Instagram, felix.link_, and just DM me the word creative. Let me know that you're coming from this video, and I'll show you how to implement it for your brand and scale towards that 8 figures. But a little disclaimer, if you're running any sort of black hat dropshipping offer that is not actually helping people, I can straight up tell you I'm not going to be working with you, because if I want to work with you and I want to help you scale, then it's got to be a product that I want to put my name behind too, because I don't want to help you scam people. So that being said, if you do have a real product, you're spending over 100K a month on meta ads, and you want to break past your current creative ceiling, then just DM me the word creative. Let me know you're coming from this video, and I'm happy to show you how we implement this for you. All right, that's it from me. See you in the next one.